What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm going to be doing a Mass Beast Chimera deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play that summons out one of my favorite boss monsters in the game, Mass Beast Desgardius. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Mass Beast Desgardius. This card is a really cool 3-of boss monster that's super easy to summon to your side of the field, because this card cannot be normal summon or set. This card must be special summoned by attributing 2 monsters, including a copy of at least one Malcolm the Four-Faced Beast or Grand Tiki Elder, meaning it's super easy to summon out to your side of the field to just get this 3300 attack point boss monster on the field. This card also has the ability that when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can equip one the Mask of Remnants from your deck to a monster on the field, and which lets us take control of an opponent's monster, which is so cool. We then play 2 copies of the Masked Beast. The Masked Beast is a really cool boss monster that comes out at 3200, and this card is easy to summon out to your side of the field because we can get to it and its ritual spell, Curse of the Masked Beast, off of pre-preparation of rites. We then play a single copy of Malcolm the Four-Faced Beast and a single copy of Grand Tiki Elder. You really only need a single copy of these cards because we can get to them with unexpected die, plus they are fiend monsters, so they're very easy to bring back from the grave. We then play 3 copies of Cornfield Codal. Cornfield Codal is definitely a 3-of in the build and helps out a lot in the deck because this card has the ability you can actually discard this card and then add a monster that mentions Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Mirror Sword Knight. And this card also has the ability when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control while you control a copy of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast. Quick effect, you can banish this card from field or grave and negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card, which is an amazing effect to give you targeting protection. We then play 3 copies of Mirror Sword Knight. Mirror Sword Knight is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is actually a full combo for our Chimera cards, with the ability that you can actually tribute this card and then special summon a monster from your deck that mentions Chimera Fusion, which is always going to be a copy of Big Wing Baphomet. And this card also has a walking negate because it has the ability when a monster that your opponent controls activates its effect when you control a copy of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast. Quick effect, you can banish this card from field or grave to negate that effect, which is such a cool ability. This card literally does it all, it gives you a negate, and is a lone fire blossom for the deck. We then play 3 copies of Gazelle the King of Mythical Claws. This card is really good as a 3-of in the build because if this card is normal or special summon, you get to add a level 5 fiend monster or a copy of Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you get to add an illusion monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to get a copy of Cornfield Codal or a copy of Mirror Sword Knight to go in for your plays. We then play 2 copies of Big Wing Baphomet. Big Wing Baphomet is amazing to be able to summon off your copy of your Mirror Sword Knight because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to add a level 4 beast monster and a copy of Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, meaning you get to add your copy of Gazelle and a Chimera Fusion from deck to hand, so we can go in for a copy of Chimera the King of Phantom Beasts, which is a really cool ability just to instantly go in for a fusion summon. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion summon, you get to target an illusion monster in the grave and special summon it back to your side of the field, which is going to be your copy of Mirror Sword Knight you're going to bring back to your side of the field because it's a quick effect to use Mirror Sword Knight's ability, so you can do it all over again during your opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Barrier Statue of the Abyss. Barrier Statue is really good because this card can lock your opponent down because it makes it so both players can only special summon dark monsters, which is amazing to be able to do in this deck because we really only special summon dark monsters in this deck because all of our Mass Beast monsters are dark, meaning it's super easy to lock down the opponent, especially when you send this card to the graveyard off your copy of the Baphomet Fusion monster and then bring this card back to your side of the field with your Chimera Fusion monster by banishing it from the grave during your opponent's turn, so you can just put this card out on your side of the field. It's very easy to be able to put this card on the field, which is why we just play a single copy in the deck. We then also play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is an amazing 3-of in the build just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're playing a single copy of the Mask of Remnants. You only need a single copy of this card in the build. And this card has the ability that when you activate this card, you shuffle this card back in the deck, or if this card was activated by the effect of Mass Beast Descardius, it is treated as an equip card, and you take control of the equip monster, which is an amazing ability to just take control of that card, because you're always going to equip this card to an opponent's monster, so that you can take control of it and replace the copy of Mass Beast Descardius that had to go to the graveyard to get this card out on the field. We then play 2 copies of Curse of the Mass Beast. Curse of the Mass Beast is what we use to summon out our copy of the Mass Beast, and it's just a really good ritual spell that we can search off our copy of Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-prep is really good because this searches a ritual monster and a ritual spell from our deck to our hand that the ritual spell mentions the ritual monster, meaning we can search out the Mass Beast and Curse of the Mass Beast from our deck to our hand so we can summon out our awesome ritual monster. We then play 3 copies of Unexpected Die. Unexpected Die is great in the deck to be able to summon out Grand Tiki Elder or Malka the Four-Faced Beast from our deck to our side of the field, which is just so cool about this card. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good as a 3-of in the build, just to be able to dig into the deck. We then play 3 copies of Chimera Fusion. Chimera Fusion is a really good 3-of in the build to help us fusion summon into the exact card that we need. Because during the main phase, you get to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including a copy of a beast or a fiend monster. And during your main phase, if this card's in the graveyard and you have a copy of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast on your field or in the grave, you can add this card back to your hand or banish this card, and if you do, special summon both Gazelle and a copy of Birthmet from the deck or the graveyard, which is a really cool effect. We then also play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is just insane right now and really good in this deck to help us fusion summon into boss monsters, but also break our opponent's board. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts. This card is an amazing 2-of in the build that has the ability, if this card is summoned out to your side of the field, during the end phase, you get to send a card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, which is an amazing ability. This card also has the ability during your opponent's turn, you can actually banish this card as a quick effect to be able to target a fiend, beast, or an illusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it back to your side of the field, and this card becomes Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast while on the field or in the grave. We then play a single copy of the Baphomet Fusion. This card is really good as a 1-of because this card has the ability that this card's name becomes Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast while on the field or in the graveyard, and if this card is fusion summoned, you get to send a beast, fiend, or an illusion monster from your deck to the grave, which is a great ability to work with our copy of our Barrier statue to get that card into the graveyard so we can bring it back with our copy of Chimera. This card also has the ability, if it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card to target one of your banished beast, fiend, or illusion monsters and special summon it back to your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Chimera the Illusionist Beast. This card is definitely a 1-of as an OTK machine for the deck that has the ability, this card's name becomes Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast while on the field or in the graveyard, and this card can attack monsters a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials used for this card's fusion summon, and if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle, just like all of your other illusion monsters. And at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can actually make that opponent's monster's attack points become 0 and negate its effects, which is an insane ability that you basically just swing for 31, then drop the monster down to 0, and then keep swinging for as many materials as you put in this card to OTK. We then play 2 copies of Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is really cool as a 2-of in the deck because you can use Chimera Fusion during your opponent's main phase to be able to flip it up and turn it into a copy of Guardian Chimera by using 2 monsters in your hand and a monster on the field, or 2 monsters on the field and a monster in a hand, because depending on where you use those monsters from depends on what you get, either 2 pops and a draw or 2 draws and a pop, which is really cool to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Magnum. Magnum is just a really good option to be able to play in this deck, and it's just an insane fusion monster to make. We then play a single copy of Dracos Tapalia for a great super poly target to be able to make in this deck. Play a single copy of Earth Golem as another super poly target, a copy of Garua, a single copy of Mud Dragon. These are all really good super poly targets to be able to make in the deck. One copy of SP Little Knight. You could change this card out for any other fusion monster, like a copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon if you want to, as another option for another super poly target if you don't have a copy of SP Little Knight. But SP Little Knight is just a really good option because in this build, we actually don't lock ourselves into fusion summoning. We then play a single copy of Mudracker. Mudracker is just really good to be able to bring back our fiend monsters from the graveyard back to our side of the field. And then finally play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's amazing in any deck to be able to have as a walking skill drain, and a single copy of Zeus, which is also a really good option as a board wipe. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a masked beast deck before, you should definitely give this Chimera version a try, because it's super fun to be able to play and a really consistent build to summon out the masked beast cards, which is super cool. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.